WhyGuru Ji ki Fateh. So before we start, we're going to Shabad Naal Jodna si. So sare bentiya, if you could just close, you don't have to close your eyes, but concentrate thoda karna. WhyGuru Ji uthat sukhiya, baitat sukhiya, pav nahi lage jaise bujya, rakha ek hamara swami, sagal kata ka antarjami. सोए चिंता जाग चिंता जहाँ कहाँ प्रभ तू वरतंता घर सुख बसया बाहर सुख पाया कहो नानक गुर मंत्र दृढ़ाया घर सुख बसया बाहर सुख पाया कहो नानक गुर मंत्र दृढ़ाया वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. So thank you everyone for coming today. I'm going to be here for 4 sessions. This is something that we did in Coventry, but it was over 10 weeks. So I can't fit 10 weeks in 4 weeks. But what I'll do is try to put in pertinent parts of what we covered at the Gurdwara. I'll give you the links to if you ever get time, you can watch all 10. They're recorded anyway, but go through these first and then you'll understand it. It'll be good. So I picked this subject because Sukh and Dukh, the whole world's running after this happiness, but everyone's ending up in some sort of sadness. So something's not working. And Guruji's got a lot to say about this subject. Sukh kiya, what's happiness? What is it? Why are we getting upset and sadness? Why are we getting depression, anxiety, and all these different things that happen in our lives? So the purpose of these sessions, just so everyone's aware, is pain and happiness are both part of hukum. So that's the WhyGuru's divine order, we could say, as a rough English translation of that. But hukum is quite a broad thing. But everything happens under WhyGuru's command. That's happiness and sadness. Both happiness and suffering have meaning. So because something's not necessarily making you happy, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Just because something's making you happy, it doesn't mean it's a good thing. So this is what we're going to try and understand. So pain can be the medicine, happiness can be disease, and like when we read our Reras, Sahib, and we read Dukh daru Sukh rog paya. Guru saying Dukh is a medicine, and happiness is a disease. The happiness in which WhyGuru is not there, Guruji saying. Ja sukh tam na hoi. If WhyGuru is not in that happiness, he says, Guruji saying, it's disease, yeah. It's not. So happiness isn't necessarily good, and sadness isn't necessarily bad in Gurmat, in Guru's mat. So opening the door to Guruji will help a lot. So sometimes we try to handle our life in a worldly way. We try to use worldly methods. But see, Gurudev method use karne. Guru's methods don't fail. Guru's method doesn't fail. You can witness emotions without being controlled by them, and that's a big thing. It's the key to it. It's a big thing for life as well. Every emotion doesn't have to have a reaction, but we react to everything. So we want happiness, we want sadness. When we feel a bit down, we want to do something. When we're feeling a bit like this, everything has to have some sort of reaction. Someone says something, there has to be an emotional reaction to it. It doesn't have to be like that. So Sikhi helps us face pain in Chardi Kala. So Chardi Kala again is a big word that's used a lot, but we'll try and discuss some of that through Guru's Bani. Some may also need professional therapy or counselling for emotional healing. That's a really important point, is that sometimes you can't just do it by yourself. And professional help isn't a weakness. So seeking help is not a weakness, it's part of self-care and understanding hukum. So as humans, we have to look after ourselves. We still have to look after ourselves. We don't call that home. Guruji says, "Bhai, ajar sarira, yadi look after Nanak jo prabh simriye, so this dehi ko pal." Guru says, "Palana karo." This dehi, look after it, because it's for doing simran. So we've got to look after it. And sometimes that might mean we have to do self-care and seeking help. And community and sangat support healing. If sangat is done correctly, and sangat is not a rude sangat, which often is, and Sangat is not, it's Naam orientated, then Dukh can go away. Dukh can go away quickly. You know? So that's kind of the purpose of the sessions. So we'll go into it. I'm sorry, you're going to have to apologize for my hands. I've not washed my hands. You know? I tried to dye this kapra, and I was trying to be clever, and I didn't put gloves on. You know? So my hat look like I don't have ishanan, but that's not right what it is. I better say sorry at the beginning. So what's the purpose of this session again? There are times in life when our pain runs deeper than we can manage on our own. You know? That's going to happen to all of us, actually. You know, when we look at our life is, if you look at it, it's an art of letting go. If you think about it, you know? When we're living, we've got to let go. Everything you have to let go. Eventually, you have to let your body go. You know? And when your body goes, then all your relationships go. Sometimes your relationships go before you go. You know? So someone else might go first. So in life, we're going to get dukh. It's part of living. And so sometimes we can't manage that, I know. Just like we wouldn't try to run or lift weights on a broken leg. You know? So sometimes we don't look at it as a problem. That, you know, we're down, we're really down. And we can't always strengthen our emotional, spiritual health when our mind is carrying heavy wounds. So sometimes, I mean, if we say you break your leg and I say, okay, can you do 200 kg squat, please? You know? Then you say I'm stupid. But when sometimes if a person's got issues internally, and then we ask him to say, "Hana tu part bahut karega kar, simran bahut karega kar." Sometimes that's not the right first step. They have to do part and they have to simran, but sometimes it has to be done in the right way. So, in those moments, getting professional help, whether that's counselling, therapy, medical support, is an act of care, not weakness. And a doctor helps the body heal, so we can move freely again. In the same way, a good therapist can help the mind heal. So Simran, Sang and Seva bring real peace, but they work hand in hand, those two things. Yeah, we were just at an alcoholics retreat, you know, and one of the people passed away at the retreat, you know. And it wasn't a nice experience, and I wasn't very good. But sometimes, you know, when we look at that thing as well, someone's drinking or someone's taking drugs or something, there's underlying issues sometimes as well, not being addressed. And it's masked over. So sometimes you can't just look at a person, and if they're not in the right state and they're saying silly things, you can't just automatically just judge them as that person is an ABC. They're not. Sometimes they need help, you know. So we should. I mean, I did mental health first aid some time ago, but even that, it's about encouraging people to get help. That's what it's about, really. Is that we're not doctors. I'm not, by doing training, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical health professional. But it's just to encourage them to the right path. And sometimes you have to do that in life as well. You know? So Gurbani reminds us to live with compassion and honesty, and that includes being kind enough to ourselves to ask for help when we need it. So I just want to make sure that's clear when we go. This isn't here me trying to be a doctor for you and saying, here, just check this slide out and sort your problem out. It's not meant to be that. So here, you know, when we say sadness, it's not just straightforward what a person's sad. There's many reasons why we get upset. And it could be relationships. There's a conflict there or something with loved ones, or a disconnection with friends or something. Particularly what happens is if there's a significant change. So a big change can happen in our lives, and that can cause sadness, death, breakup, or life transition, moving, that removes something that you really value. If it changes that, you can get pain, you get sad, you know. Achievement, so failure, or feeling inadequate. Belonging, so sometimes people just don't feel they belong anywhere. You know, they don't feel that they don't get belonging in their homes, they don't get belonging in circles. So sometimes that can be a problem. Purpose, so it's really important that we all have a purpose, you know. And Guruji gives us a clear one, but sometimes we're not on Guruji's wavelength. We're making our own purpose up, and sometimes that's a weak purpose. And when something goes wrong, then that purpose gets all messed up. And Gurbani again says a lot of things about that. You know? Health, could be health scare. We could go, and then all of a sudden now my body's not a healthy body anymore. The doctor said something's going to happen. Now that's a different problem. Security, feeling insecure, appreciation, enjoyment, self-reflection. So when we say sadness and you say someone's sad, there could be many, many reasons why that's the case. And happiness, again, if you look at those same things, sometimes we get happy because of these things. We get happy because relationships are going well. We get happy because the changes are all positive. Promotion ho gaya, byah ho gaya. Byah hona always positive nahi hota, but byah ho gaya. And then nyane ho gaye, and then positive changes, and then achievement. You could say you passed your course or your degree or you got a promotion. That can make you happy, Belonging. So again, if you look at the same things, you're intelligent, people don't need to go through all of this. Purpose, health, security, so even happiness. If I was asking you, you don't have to answer, like, what makes you happy? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about what makes you happy? And we went to a mental health training in the last week, a different one that was, and then again, the trainer, she asked us, she goes like, can you tell me what's made you happy in the last week? And then sometimes, I think everyone there was kind of said something, but I've had it before where I've spoken to, say, a Gursikh, and I said like, tell me something that's made you happy in 6 months. 6 months, and they're like scratching their head like this, they're like saying, I can't think of anything. So I want you to just imagine what's their perspective now. What do they see? What's their world view now? If they can't see anything that's happened in six months, And sometimes that's what state we go into. So sometimes, these things, you should have a think about them. If you've got your relationships, do you get happiness from that? Change, achievement. How do you express your happiness? So it's an interesting and important thing, So if we really get into what it is, sadness is an emotional state. It's emotional. And what's characterized as distress, suffering, or discomfort, and it results from something that we're saying is a loss. It's a loss, it's harm, it's rejection, or my needs haven't been met somehow. That's going to make us upset. How do you think Guruji talks about these things? What do you think Guruji is saying? And that's a broad question. What's Guruji saying about that? What does Guruji say, do you think? We're going to talk about that in a bit. You're just generally just getting there. What do you think Guruji says about something's going to happen where it's not going to meet your needs, for instance? What do you think? What's Guruji saying? Well, how do we have to? Shouldn't have a lot of attachment to that thing anyway. Great answer. What else? Yeah. Everything's temporary. Brilliant. Try to remain neutral. Has anyone heard about that? Dukh and Sukh saying? Ek cheez hai. Have you heard that before? We're going to discuss that as well. So it's another pata, what am I standing here for? What do I need to do this for? But there's anyway, let's get into it. When we're going to use one this is a difficult one, So when someone passes away and you go and visit that family, let's say, there's some things that you really shouldn't say. In Sikhi, Punjabi culture, which kade gal kiti nahi this one, that there's some things you shouldn't say, I fully understand what you're going through. You can say, I've had a similar situation, but you can't fully understand what that person is going through. And this is the reason. You cannot understand what they're going through because circumstances are unique to the situation and the person. So you can't just go, I get where you're at. You can't. You don't understand. You can have sympathy and you can have empathy and you can have compassion. You could try to go into their shoes, but you can't say that I understand your relationship with your dad or your mom or your granddad or how do you know? Just because you've had a granddad or a mom or a dad doesn't mean you understand that. And you can have another child. Like Indian Punjabi say this a lot. Koi na nyane nu kuch hoga ho jaga Maharaj ne kirpa kar deni hai na. Although that in their own way that's a nice thing for them to say, it's not a very sensitive thing to say, So it's not about that. You can't just replace someone, And be strong and get through it. That's typical. Bandiyan lai particularly. Oh chup kar ja, banda hai tu ki karda hai, snap out of it. That's a really stupid thing, silly thing to say. I'm sorry you use stupid word, I don't know. But the family's trying to come to terms with it, and then you can't just say, hurry up. You're basically saying, hurry up, you know? And you're behaving or speaking differently now. Well, what do you expect? If someone's got grief, they're going to behave differently, you know? So here, if anyone has had pain, I want you to just think about this question. Have you found anyone who really understood your pain in your life? Did you find anyone who say, "Yo, this person really gets it"? It's unique to you, you know?
I think sometimes it can. I'm going to be honest and personal. When you get finished with the Panchayari,
Yeah.
I think for the Guru side with you, like in the form of Panchayari, you're not supposed to be Panchayari. But I think that's times when your pain's understood. That you have very spiritual beings, like we've had talks here before Mahmoud.
Yeah.
And they understand your pain, like people like in my life it's been bypassed by demons and then mainly Khalsa.
So we're going to the spiritual realm, another.
They understand on another level. They might not say it. Sometimes they will tell you off, but that's because it's in a good way.
And when we talk about Gurbani, because that's what we're going to talk about here, can anyone really feel your pain? But this is what Guruji says, you know? The Guru says, "Kya kahiye, kis aakh sunaiye, je kehna so Prabhu ji paas, je kehna si WhyGuru nu kehna hai." And sometimes this, you know, our concept, what Benji just said as well. Sometimes WhyGuru operates through Sikh. Sometimes WhyGuru is operating through Sangat. WhyGuru is operating through Bani and Guru anyway, and WhyGuru obviously operates through Hukam, you know? And this is our Sikhi, Sadi Sikhiya. When you're trying to make someone try to understand it, like you're trying to say, you just stand there and understand what I'm saying, they won't understand. Spiritual levels is a different thing. Or the underli gal to understand that's a different. That's why Sikhi's got a different answer to Dukh, you know? It's a different answer. But from worldly level, when you look at it, that might make you more lower, feeling that that person just doesn't understand. They don't get it. No one gets it, you know? So really, pain is a very, very individualized thing, and you're allowed to be that. You're allowed to have it as an individual thing. I'm just trying to clarify that. You're allowed to say it's your pain and you understand it, and another person doesn't. That's not you. You're a weirdo. Does not mean there's something wrong with you. That's understandable, you know? So the pain is personal to you, you know? And Gurbani says, but WhyGuru antarjami, and he knows. WhyGuru knows, you know? Sab kuch. Bin bolya sab kish janta. Kis aage kiche ardas. Guruji says, ardas kinu kar de? WhyGuru knows anyway, you know? WhyGuru already knows before you said it. So this is why this is a spiritual program. We're saying WhyGuru is a different Jeej. That dimension is different. And when we use that dimension, a lot of different positive things can happen. But how does sadness get worse? So sometimes when we're sad, it can get worse, you know? So sorry, is it bored? Then ho gaya with this subject. Sorry. You know, sometimes you can make it worse. So some things happened, but we go to another level ourselves. So if we keep replaying it, painful events in your mind, sometimes you can't help that. Like I said, that's not something someone's weakness. Sometimes you need that, you might need help because it keeps coming back. You know, self-blame, thinking it's all my fault. That's like that negative self-talk that happens. We can catastrophize something and make it worse. We can make it worse and say it's a lot worse than what it is. So sometimes we can say it's even bigger. So that imagining the worst case scenario from that. Say, okay, that's happened, so then that will probably happen. Now that's going to happen, then that's going to happen. But that hasn't happened. A lot of the things that you're saying haven't happened. You've made it worse internally. And overgeneralizing, turning one negative event into belief that everything's bad, I always fail, it always happens to me, why doesn't it happen to my neighbor, etc., etc., etc. I'm good. I've had a person when we were having a talk, and what he said was, because I've seen people, he goes, they're proper do barber they do. He goes, they're not honest, they're really bad. And he goes, they get everything. He goes, I ain't done nothing really that bad. And he goes, everything bad's happening to me. That's a person in a difficult place. And now what's he seeing? He's seeing that all that stuff's just about me and it's only happening to me. And let's say we don't really talk about this quickly. We just quickly say, this is Sikhi, do it like this, Bejaramna. thank you very much. And probably I was like that probably for some time. You gotta, life ain't like that. I think I might have grown up. I think I've grown up a little bit. Life ain't like that. It ain't like that. You just pull something out, go in there, there you go, tickle the bush, It's not like that. So there's lots of things, I can't discuss them all. But there's different things, holding grudges, comparison. How does social media work? And I'm guessing a lot of you might be on social media. How does it work? It works on comparison. Why is someone putting a post up? Why are you putting a post? I'm not telling you not to. Well, I'm telling you not to put posts up, to be honest. But why are you putting posts up? Person putting a post up, say, "Sare manu like karan." Sare going, my God, your life's so much better than mine. I wish I could live like you. It's designed on humans' weakness. That whole system is designed on weakness. So sometimes comparison can make you more sad, can make you sad. I want to differentiate between feeling a bit sad and depression and anxiety, because sometimes we're not allowed to be sad now, and everything's just categorized as depression. Everything isn't depression. So it's when it's a certain amount of days the thing keeps happening, then you should seek help if it goes along for a period. If someone says to you today, you know what, you ain't going to get that promotion, and you come home a bit sad, you're not depressed. You're not in a depression. In 2-3 days you get over it, say, well, whatever, I'll go and find another job. Or if something happens to you, and it might be a health thing, but that health thing might make you really healthy. It might make you really healthy in the future, but that might be a down point for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean you fall into a depression. So just want to make sure you kind of feel a bit sad, just like we can feel happy. And if you get happy, it doesn't mean you're happy for 19 days, Sometimes or 20 months or something like that. Sometimes the happiness is just a day, or it might be 2, might be 5, but then it wears off. So, talking about that, just so that I'm just making sure because this week, just make sure we understand we're on the same footing. Everyone understands where we're talking from. And it's an emotional state. Happiness is as well. It's feelings of pleasure, contentment, fulfillment, and well-being. So if those things happen, and it arises when needs, desires, and values are satisfied or aligned. When we get those things, then we say, I'm happy. Everything's great. Everything's working. But, I was looking for these formulas. I said, can you put happiness in a formula? Sorry, my computing background from us, so I find this interesting. But can you put it into in a equation? Can you put it into a thing? And this one, I like this one, the easiest one to understand. There's a reality, and then there's an expectation. And until the expectation and reality don't meet, you're unhappy. It's a quite easy way to understand that. If it was like that, so when expectation starts meeting reality and it happens, what we're expecting happens, then that creates happiness, So how do we combat that? How do you think Sikhi says about expectation? How much expectation should we have? It doesn't mean we shouldn't be successful. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have a career. It doesn't mean we shouldn't strive. But sometimes expectation, and that expectation makes you sad because it's not happening. The thing that you want is not happening. But that's a nice, easy way to understand it. Here's a mathematics of life. Here's a life plus laughter times love minus hate equals happiness. It's a bit complicated, that one, if you work out. But here, huge portion of your happiness is completely within your control. So these are 50% genetic. So what is it? There's a set point. So this is another formula. There's a set point. So some people by nature, they're just a bit happy. Some people, mere varge, a bit naturally a bit grumpy by nature. But what your nature is kind of 50%, but what your actions are 40, and then your circumstances are about 10. So even if that's a bit lower, if your actions are good, even your circumstances are a bit bad, you can still be happy, So that one's interesting too. But again, they're just formulas. No, you can't say that's true. You could say, yeah, I can understand that a little bit, or I might understand that a little bit. But again, I say that one's a nice, easy one to understand for us is when you have massive expectations. I'll give you examples. I've got a friend. My expectation of my friend was always going to be loyal to me, and your friend isn't loyal anymore. He's done something that's not loyal. Then you say, damn, I hate everyone now. Now I'm sad. You know what I mean? And that can happen with your kids. It can happen with your wife. It can happen with your job. You could say, I was expecting to be here by this stage. I'm not there now. My expectation, that's it. It's making me sad. So again, sometimes I can give you a bit of a Sikhi perspective. When something isn't happening, it might be for your benefit. If something isn't happening, it might be for your benefit. If a friend to you, who was once a friend to you, isn't really being that much of a friend to you, it might be a benefit, but you might not see that yet. So sometimes it doesn't mean it's bad. But again, this is how happiness can get affected. Some people can turn happiness into sadness. Does that make sense? So when a person khushi bhi mili hai, but wo khushi nu kharab karta by just thinking about it in a different way. So we could say overthinking, constantly questioning or dissecting a joyful moment instead of enjoying it. Why did that happen? Yeah, maybe it's going to be, maybe it was something else. You just made it into nothing. And then guilt for feeling happy. Sometimes people feel guilt. Say, do I really deserve to have this? I don't deserve it. I'm a bad person or whatever. And comparison again. You get a really amazing thing. You get, you get a really amazing thing, and then you just look at it and say, well, that guy's is a bit better. Now all of a sudden that good thing that you had, you just made it into nothing. And Guruji quote, when we say Das bastu le pache pave, there's a Shabadanda Sukh. Guru says, WhyGuru gave you 10 things, but you want the 11th thing, you want the 11th one. And he says, WhyGuru took the 10, because then what were you going to do? Guru called us a muraks for that. Because if WhyGuru took the 10 away as well, the 10 he's already given you, just because he didn't give you the 11th one, तो मूड़ा को कहाँ करे, 10 बस्तु ले पाछे पावे, एक बस्त कारण पे खोट गवावे, एक पीना दे 10 भी हिर ले, तो मूड़ा को कहाँ करे. Guru says, 10 भी वापस ही ले ले, फिर की कर लूँगा तुम. Guruji saying, appreciate karo what you have as well. Sometimes you have to, and then your happiness baseline is better. Then you're not always looking, say, things aren't great, but things might be really good, but you're just looking at that expectation that's not happened enough. So happiness, you can sometimes overdo it with happiness as well. So I want everyone, let's stop and think for a minute. In our lives, sorry. I want you to think about these words here. In your relationships, you got relationships with your friends, with your family, with your partner, with your kids, with your work. Are you feeling loved and supported in those relationships? Think about it. If you've got change that's happened in your life, has it been positive for you, and have you adapted to it? If that's happened. Are you proud of your success? And I use proud loosely, obviously, because that word is used and associated with home. But it doesn't mean you could still have man. Gurbani which word man bahut aanda hai. The man you're proud of something, to say WhyGuru ne manu ditta hai. You can be proud of that. You could be proud as you want on that. That's not home. If you say WhyGuru ne diti ho cheez, you could say manu man hai. And Gurbani says, ja tu ta main man kiya hai. तुझ बिन केहा मेरा मान, तेरे तो बगैर मेरा मान किया is nothing. If you're inside of that thing, फिर मेरा मान आ. So you can have pride in that, if you use it loosely, with your successes. Do you feel belong? Do you feel that you belong to something? Are you accepted? Do you feel understood? Do you have a purpose? What's your purpose? Life is kila na. What do you want? Someone said to you today, what do you want out of life? What do you want? Sometimes we ask you for very temporary things. It's health. Are you physically well? Are you feeling okay? Is you feeling secure? Are you feeling safe in life? Because that's a really, really bad, that has a really bad effect on a person if they're not feeling safe. It could be domestic violence, by the way, as well. That person's not safe. They're not feeling safe. And appreciation, do you appreciate what WhyGuru's done? Do you appreciate what's happening around you? Are you respected? Are you acknowledged? Do you enjoy? What do you enjoy? So I'm not asking you what you're doing, but think about it. What do you enjoy out of life? What's your enjoyment? Sometimes it's wacko stuff. It's not we're enjoying that more. And self-reflect. Do you feel grateful? And are you accepting of yourself? Because the worst thing is if a person hates themselves. A person can really hate themselves, self-hatred, that's a very, very negative and mari cheez. Even though, in Gurbani sometimes makes us, to break our home, he makes us add a little bit of negativity. He says, say to yourself, Petu papiya, WhyGuru bakshana harya. What he's trying to do is break your ego by saying that. He's not trying to say, just walk out now, you're papi, and then that's it, you're negative, just get into some depression, you know? He said, akirtakan. Guru says to us, apne aap nu akirtakan kya? That means a person, jiri cheez mili ho na, oh thank you nahi kiya kade bhi. And often we do that, you know? WhyGuru's given us loads of things. I say thank you Nikita. Sometimes we say what Bhai Gurdashi teaches is your mother and father, what they've done for you, you can never give it back. But I say maa piyo nu kade thank you Nikita. Never said thank you for what you've done. That's on the level of akirtakan in Sikhi. You know? But Guru's telling us to do that so that our home breaks. So the home tut gaya sara kam, then a closeness to WhyGuru can happen. Otherwise it can't. And arrogance, it can't happen. You know? So these are things, just think about these words about your life at the moment. You know? Are you really happy? And these things, I'm not on about worldly things. You've got to think about it from a spiritual angle, and we'll do that in a minute now. So this is what Guruji says to us. Nit nit khushiyan man kare, nit nit manga sukh jiyo. Karta chitna aave, fir laga dukh jiyo. Sukh dukh data man vasai, tit tan kaisi bhukh jiyo. Now, the Gurbani is pretty clear what he's saying, you know. He's saying what we're asking for. Every day we say, WhyGuru manu koi khushi chahidi hai. I need a dopamine kick. Sometimes you're doing it from eating, from drinking. Sometimes you're doing it from what you see. But akkha rajdiyan nahi kade hundiyan. You know what Sikhi is telling us? Bhai ye jehde akkha akhi dekhna rajje bahut rang tamashe ne tamashe dekh ke rajna nahi kade bhi. They never get happy. So Guru saying, nit nit khushiyan mangda hai, sukh mangda hai. Say, I want happiness. Every day, that's all we want. Hai na? But WhyGuru chete nahi honda. The amount of sukh that we want from WhyGuru, asi onna cheta nahi kita WhyGuru nu. We've never put that much effort in to say, WhyGuru mere hirde ch vaso. Come inside me and stay here. So mere andar vas jao, na? Guru says, fir dukh hi lagna fir hon. That, you know that thing asking for, it becomes painful. Sukh dukh data man vasai tit tan kaisi bhukh jiyo. Guru says, je andar vasya hove Maharaj. Maharaj gives sukh and dukh. Look, when we're talking about dukh and sukh, WhyGuru gives both of those things. Maharaj dataya of those two things, is the giver of those. And so here, how can a person feel any need? Je andar vasya hove WhyGuru. Then this is our answer. This is our answer to everything. This is our answer to life. This is our answer to our purpose. Answer to everything is WhyGuru andar nahi vasya sade. Sikhism mein pag ban liya, daada rakh liya. That's not Sikhi, you know? That's our bana. Guru's given us a bana, you know? But that bana has to be connected with what's inside. Those two have to connect together. If they're not, फिर वो बाहरली चीज़ है. Yeah. फिर नानक बोलन चखना, दुख छड़ मंगिए सुख, सुख दुख दोए कर कपड़े पहरे जाए मनुख. Now look, just stop there for a second. What Guru's saying, he says, chakna bolana is when you say silly gallan, I mean bakwas boli jana. That's called chakna. Absurd gallan, jehdi hegiyan. And Guru saying it's very, very absurd that a person keeps saying, Manu sukh hi chahida hai. I only want happiness. This is what our Guru's teaching us. A person just saying happiness hi chahida, nothing else. Hai na? And look, sukh dukh doye kar kapde. Like today, tusi aa kapda paya hai. Tomorrow you change it, you wear another one, hopefully, you know. But then, oh kapda hor hona, hai na? And that's what life is. Today there's a happy day. Tomorrow there's going to be a sad day. The day after that might be another sad day. The day after that might be a happy day. That's life, you know. That's why it's kapda. It's one day you have to wear so that's what Guru's saying. Now you understand. It's absurd. Why you has? So you saying I want to wear the same kapda every day? He goes, "Hai nahi hona." Why Guru gives both? You know, he gives both. But jithe bolan hari, tithe changi chup. Jithe bolana harna ya, uthe chuppe changa ya. When we saying Guru saying is silly cheez mangi jani, idna chuppe ho jato. Your ardas is wrong. Guru saying your ardas is wrong. Idna chuppe changa ya tu. So here, roop rang khushiyan man bhogan, te chidra vikara. You know, we want roop, rang and khushiyan. We should understand that. There's three things that we want. Roop hagaya, some sort of form. We get happy by seeing something. ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ। ਦਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਜਨਰਲੀ ਸੇ ਪਰਾਈ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ, ਪਰਾਇਆ ਧਨ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ। That's roop. First thing wants is roop, rang. Rang is some sort of love, some sort of like, some sort of feeling of being happy and loving something. ਤੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ, ਮਨ ਭੋਗਣ, ਤੇ ਸ਼ਿਦਰ ਵਿਕਾਰਾ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ says ਪਾਪ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ in a human being. Human being ਪਾਪੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ, because he keeps asking for those three things. ਭਈ ਹਰ ਕਾ ਨਾਮ ਨਿਧਾਨ ਕਲਿਆਣਾ ਸੁਖ ਸਹਿਜੇ ਸਾਰਾ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਮ ਆ, ਨਾਮ ਵਸ ਜਾਵੇ, that's proper ਸੁੱਖ। ਜੇ ਹੈਪੀਨੈਸ ਲੈਣਾ, ਸੁੱਖ ਉੱਥੇ ਆ। Now the problem is we don't know what that is, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਆ ਫਿਰ? What is it, ਹੈ ਨਾ? What is ਨਾਮ then? Guru says ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਆ? Guru's telling us what ਨਾਮ is, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਨਾਮ ਭੋਜਨ ਵੀ ਆ, ਨਾਮ is food, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਨਾਮ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਹਿਨਣ ਵੀ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਪੱਤ ਇੱਜ਼ਤ ਰੱਖਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ। ਨਾਮ ਹੁਕਮ ਵੀ ਆ, ਨਾਮ ਮੰਤਰ ਵੀ ਆ। ਨਾਮ is ਰਸ as well, ਨਾਮ is ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ, ਨਾਮ is light, ਨਾਮ is WhyGuru। ਸਭ ਕੁਛ ਆ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। Guru says ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲੈਣੀ ਸੀਗੀ। We come to this dunya and we start asking for these little ਹੋਛੇ ਜੇ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾ। ਝੂਠਾ ਮਦ, Guru says ਝੂਠਾ ਮਦ ਮੰਗ ਲਿਆ। You asked for the wrong intoxicant, ਝੂਠਾ ਮਦ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਇਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। And look, ਫਰੀਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਸੁੱਖ ਇੱਕ ਕਰ, ਦਿਲ ਤੇ ਲਾਹੇ ਵਿਕਾਰ, ਅੱਲਾਹ ਭਾਵੈ ਜੋ ਸੋ ਭਲਾ, ਤਾਂ ਲੱਭੀ ਦਰਬਾਰ। ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ, ਤਾਂ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਗਲਤ ਹੈ। there's no word ਅੱਲਾਹ, ਨਾ। but ਫਰੀਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਸੁੱਖ ਇੱਕ ਕਰ, ਦੁੱਖ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਕਰ, is make them one. So how do we do that? That's a problem now, ਨਾ। How do you say ਦੁੱਖ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਖ ਇੱਕ ਆ? How do we do that? We're going to cover that in a minute, ਹੈ ਨਾ। but have you ever thought about that? I'm just asking generally. So you ever thought about that Dukh and Sukh is one? Have you ever thought about that, and do you think that's right? Dukh and Sukh is one. Could you ever thought that? No? Yes? No? Hello? Anybody there? Hello? The same calling Earth? You ever thought? No? Never thought about that. But ek kya cheez? So, Farid ji kehande ek kya? Look upon happiness, the Dukh as the same. And the corruption hai, dil to la de corruption jara hega, corrupt hirda's corrupt now. He's asking for these things. He says, I want excess of that one and I don't want that one. That's corruption, hai na? Guru is saying corruption hai. You have to have Dukh in your life. What does Dukh do for you? Can anyone kind of tell me when you get pain, what does it do for you?
Resilience.
It builds resilience. Beautiful answer, hai na? It builds resilience, hai na? What else does it do, Hanji? It helps us improve as a person. Good. Yeah. Hanji.
Humbles you.
It humbles you. Dukh humbles you, hai na? What else does it do? Brings you closer to WhyGuru, na? They sound like positive things to me, you know. What else does it do?
It can make people waste away, like physically waste away. If they get really like depressed, like anorexic, or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatnot, or I don't know.
So when it goes out of control, it becomes, Dukh becomes opposite. It becomes your destroyer. They'll destroy you, you know. So there's interesting things about Dukh and Sukh, what he's saying. Keep it as one. And Dukh Sukh kar ek sar Dukh paya. What does that mean? But see, Dukh Sukh karke sara family banaiya, sare na. Everyone makes families and they're in families. But when you go on from this dunya, utte kiya, what's there? When we leave, the agony all alone. You shall endure. Obviously, this English is idhar udhar hi sometimes. But ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ, ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਦੱਸੋ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਆ, ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ, this family thing and all that helping me. This ain't helping me. This was normally the 18 to 29, 30-year-old Gursikh who does Amrit. That's stage one. Family losers. Any narka nu jana hai. I can't do that sangat anymore. Na? It's not that. It's not that. What you know what a guru's trying to make us understand? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it into funny, but do you know what a guru's trying to show us is that if you find a rub in them, you find it in yourself, right? Why Guru di? What a guru's saying to us, Sadi bisamadhi, you know what bisamadhi is? Bisamadhi. Bisamadhi word sunya kade? Bisamad ho gaya Sikh. They get wonderstruck, huh? Sada mantra bhi is bisamadhi da as well. It's WhyGuru mantra. We get wonderstruck. You know what Sikh starts doing? When you start loving WhyGuru, when you start doing simran of WhyGuru, and you start reading Bani, you start seeing WhyGuru operating. It's sada kamya. That's our kam, is to see WhyGuru operating. And you'll see WhyGuru make a person do really silly kam, and you'll make WhyGuru see a person change, and you see a WhyGuru make a person do bahut badhiya kam. Then you see a WhyGuru da kam hai na khel hai Maharaj ji. How WhyGuru's playing. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be going home and saying to your family, right, I'm going to do insurance job on you or something. That's you're supposed to be looking at them and saying, Maharaj thode te tars kare na. If you believe WhyGuru te thode te kirpa kiti hai, why aren't you saying Maharaj ona de bhi kare? So really galti cheez when a person goes up and says, Maharaj does a manmukh. He might be. I'm not saying he's not, huh? So my mother is a loser, innit? That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be saying, Tere paane sarbat da bhala. Je apni family da bhala nahi hai, tu Sikh changa theek nahi hai, tu par go, hai na? Tu apni Sikhi hor ke te ghar la jaake. If your family is that madi to you, then sangat li ki karna tha? You're going to do nothing, hai na? So, hello? Yeah. Guruji calls these things the same. Gold and dust. Ustat nindya. Daswaran, Mati, Ustat Nindya, Raja te Rank, te Dukh te Sukh. Why? How are they the same? How is it the same? If you understand that, you understand a beautiful part of Sikhi, a beautiful part. Oh, same kita. Sorry, मैं upset नहीं किया ना. What? Same कितना है? How is it same? Same कितना है? How is sona te mitti? Oh, एक चीज. How can mitti be same as sona's gone up really lot? They say on the news. Mitti the price कभी बढ़ता नहीं होता. Well, it might do actually, cement and stuff. But I'm saying, how is sona and mitti the same? How is it the same? How is a Raja and a Garib person the same? You go to Raja, well, the Raja is dodgy in England, I suppose, isn't it? But Bob says you go to Raja give you something, Garib na ki dena sanu. How is it the same? Still human? Go ahead.
Would you say
Temporary. Temporary. Haji.
with gold and dust there's still some form of rock? With happiness and pain it's some sort of emotion. With king and poor person it's still a human.
Good, yeah. We're getting there. Let's move a bit further. Hanji.
Because in Sikhi, gold is just, I know, because paisa is like temporary, gold is temporary, but WhyGuru is like not temporary, he is permanent, because gold ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੋ ਜਨਮ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਨਮ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ WhyGuru ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਜਨਮ ਚ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ.
Beautiful. Very nice. Jeendar hai
What pleases value. Where the dust settles, you can settle.
Yeah, so look, this what if we look at these in situations, I don't know situations the key. So we used in Coventry, use a situation. I said raat hai na, thand ho jani hai. If you stay 3 days, then mar jana hai uthe. People put bricks there and they put sona there. You don't need sona, you need mitti to join the bricks together, है ना? So ਹੁਣ valuable चीज़ केड़ी है मिट्टी है या सोना valuable चीज़ है मिट्टी उथे मिट्टी सोना बन गया सोना मिट्टी बन गई है. Yeah, if you look at ustat nindya, if I say to you, ustat means praise, and I say to someone, my God, तेरे वर्गा बंदा है नहीं दुनिया ते, and you go to the other one, तेरे वर्गा पापी नहीं हैगा. Now why are those two things the same? Same. ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਲਈ same ਆ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ. Why is it the same? I'm not talking about WhyGuru ਦੀ ਉਸਤਤ here. It's ਮਾਨੁਖ ਕੀ ਟੇਕ ਬਿਰਥੀ ਸਭ ਜਾਣ. You know, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਮਰ ਵੰਜ ਸੀ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਮਰ ਖਾਕ ਥੀ. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਰਦੇ ਮਰਨਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਲਾਹਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ. Why is ਉਸਤਤ and India the same? Why is it the same? Sorry, Paji. Perspective, Andy.
Perspective. So, for example, one person can take praise as slander, and somebody can take slander as appraisal. It's how you view what you see.
Good, good. Now we're getting there. Yeah. Anji Paji, did you get see? At the back, to see. Did I interrupt you? Sorry.
Two ends of the same spectrum.
The two ends of the same spectrum, Anji. So here, there's Ustad and India. If I say to you, so person, this is an amazing person, मैं कईयां दी निंदा कर देती है. In the Ustad I've done Nindya. If I say Nindya of somebody, मैं अपने आप at least myself have made myself a bit better than them, है ना? You understand? Each thing has got the other thing in it. At some point that's going to mitti. Sometimes asona ban jana eda. Sometimes edi Nindya ban jani hai. And that Nindya can become praise sometimes, है ना? Even if it's your own. Jada Raja ya, let's do Raja and a poor person. If a Raja came to you, है ना, वो बिल्कुल is a maha manamatiya. उन्होंने रब दी गल नहीं है उस राजे विच. Today you need to find a WhyGuru, है ना? ते गरीब या, ते गरीब ओदे अंदर नाम बसिया आ गरीब दे. उन्हां विच राजा कौन आ? गरीब राजा बन गया, है ना? Raja is a Garib now. The Raja is a poor person. He's got nothing with him. Sikh doesn't look at that. Jada Bhaji ne kaisi perspective ya. This is the perspective. Perspective which usai dono cheezaं ek ne dooja ban jana, dooje ne dooja ban jana. In your life that will happen, है ना? And that's why happiness and pain, sometimes that happiness, why is that same as pain? So you understand now? We're getting there, yeah? What, yeah, Anji? Yeah.
It could be like you could be happy, but then it's not going to be good for you.
Yeah. So ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੁੱਖ ਆ ਗਿਆ, and ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ pain ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ happiness ਆ ਗਈ. Pain ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ some really bad event can happen to a person. From that day on, they get like, and ਨਾ ਸੁੱਖ ਆ ਗਿਆ, they say thank God that thing happened to me, है ना? ਇਦਾਂ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਇਹ, and WhyGuru controls both of them. WhyGuru is controlling them, and from each one of those you can just get the wrong thing. WhyGuru ਦਾ ਭਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲਦਾ. That's why Guruji says Dukh Sukh ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ WhyGuru ਦਾਤਾ ਆ. WhyGuru can give you Sukh in a way that you get ਬਹੁਤ ਆਨੰਦ. ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਆਨੰਦ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ, but he can give you a Sukh that you get separated from God, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So Sikh doesn't look at it like that. Sikh looks at it as like, ਜਿਹੜਾ what's the ਭਾਣਾ underneath it. Now ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ. Sorry, did everyone get that? Or, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's hard to understand. I used to ask them every week, why is Dukh and Sukh the pain? Same next week ago, can't remember. But remember, this is a buddhi chija for you as an individual, you as a spiritual person. As a spiritual person, if you understand that, Pana becomes nicer for you. You start looking at Pana in more things, rather than just looking at that as, oh, it's a great day out, that was. Or that was a great day because manu paisa mil gaya. You look at something else. Do you understand that something is Goda? The things that you makes you happy. Does someone mind if I ask them what makes them happy? What makes you happy? Oh, no, let's not. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. It's all right. If you say Mr. Singh's Pizza, let's say, or you say, going out with your friends. Or you might say, sitting down at home and relaxing, that makes you happy, right? When would that become sad? When would that same thing become sad?
Because every day you're on your own. So the sun with anybody.
Yeah, that's true. But do you see how, if WhyGuru takes one element out of your life, वो सारा कौड़ा हो जाता है. जरा मिठा होता ना, वो कौड़ा हो जाता है. That's what Guru says, Khin mein kaude hoye gaye, jitade maya bhog. In 1 second, WhyGuru, everything that you're calling happy, I'll give you an example. You might take something away. You might take a person who's in your life away. You might take them away. You might be really enjoying yourself with a really healthy body. Then Guruji says, oh, by the way, you only got like a couple of weeks left. Everything's gone koda. Whereas 1 minute ago, hang on a minute, everything was really happy. And that's why these things, I think I've nearly finished now, but this is, look, Swarg Bas na Banshiya, Dariya na Nark Nivas. Hona hai, so hoi hai, mane na kiche. Asish Kabir ji da shabd hai na. He says, you know, Sikh, oh, heaven the hell ni mangde, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ hell ਤੋਂ ਡਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕੋਈ. They ain't scared of any hell. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਉਹ. Why do you think? Does anyone? I asked this last time. I guess I don't want to. Who was wanted to go to heaven? Heaven ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਨੇ ਜਾਣਾ? ਜਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ? Well, you guys, what bus are you guys catching? Heaven, yeah, we got some hands. Anyone, heaven nu jana tusi? And this is because it's a natural thing that we haven't been taught that see heaven nu nahi jana. Sikh doesn't want heaven. Doesn't want it. Heaven sade lai nahi hai. Heaven is rewards and stuff, and nark is punishments. Sikh nu punishment te reward naal ki ya. Ona to ek hi cheez hai ho. You don't need it. So the day you say I don't want heaven, now what do you want? Now you say मैं रब कोल जाना है, WhyGuru कोल. Now हुन सारी Sikhi path ठीक हो गई है. Otherwise you could become a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or heaven मांगते हैं. And Hindus, they got loads of them. They got Devpuri, Shivpuri, they got loads of them, है ना? Indrapuri. तो इसी Indrapuri नहीं जाना. You don't want it. If you accidentally die, you know, someone says you want to go to heaven, say no. Say no. Where's my guru? That's what you should be saying. Mere Guruji kithe hai? That should be in your hirda here. You should do that in your sufana. Understand what I'm saying? I'm saying something important to you. You should do it in your sufana. If they ask you in your dream, you say no. Where's my guru? That's what you should be doing. And that's what you should be doing. You so Surga Basana Banche Sanu nahi hai heaven hell da. What Kabirji says. Hona hai so hoi hai mane na ki chaise WhyGuru ne karna jithe bhejna main happy ha. But he says one thing in the Rahau of that shabd. Ramaiya gun gaiye jate paiye param nidan. Main WhyGuru de gun gai jane ha. And I know that's going to take me somewhere else. He said param nidan ho jana. There's going to be something else. It's not this stuff, isn't it? Heaven, hell, oda. Ye da sastiyan cheezaं sikhli. Sastiyan cheezaं hai. So heaven, hell nahi darna, hell to nahi darna, heaven nahi mangna asi. But WhyGuru ko jana hai na. That's our path. This is the final bit, I think, but here. This is a Chardi Kala person, and this is someone who may be feeling really, really sad and down. So I use the example, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਸੀਗੇ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਸੀ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਥੋੜੇ ਸੀਗੇ. They only had a few days. Right? They were loving it. ਸਾਡਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਬੜੇ ਰੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗੇ. So they could die at any day. They may never see family again. Probably because they left all their kids and left their wives at home, and all the junglan sige, the siran de mul pe sige. So the day they get caught, their sir gets badya, and someone takes it and says, "I want some rupees for this." They have no heat or hygiene facilities. Their food was limited. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੋੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਛੋਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਦਾਮ ਆ. They go the ਛੋਲੇ ਆ ਬਦਾਮ. They don't look at them as ਛੋਲੇ. ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਬਦਾਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਹਿੰਗੇ ਬਦਾਮ. Arbi badam or something like that. They're looking at it like that. They said, and a kode, ota sadi jode ya. Kode ta chale gaye, kode mar gaye ne. Okay, kode, there's a shoes of them. So their food's limited, they've got no income and they haven't got no, oh, shall we have a Dubai trip this year? Shall we go to California? On a holiday nahi haga ona kol. But look at this, ignore this for a minute. Probably got a longer life, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, you're right, sees family every day, has central heating and ensuite bathrooms, got Deliveroo and can eat whatever, has a big income and enjoys holiday every year. Why is this person Tandi Kala and this one Chardi Kala? Why is that? ਆ ਤਾਂ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਹੌਲੀਡੇ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਓ, ਖਾਈ ਜਾਓ, ਜੋ ਖਾਓ ਪੀਓ, ਮੌਜਾਂ ਮਾਰੋ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਹੀਟਰ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋ ਆ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਠੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. ਯੂ ਨੋ ਸਿੰਘ, ਯੂ ਨੋ ਜੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ, ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਦਰਿਆਵਾਂ ਸਿਓ ਦੋਸਤੀ. ਮਨ ਮੁਖ ਸੱਚਾ ਨਾਮ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ ਉਹ ਦਰਿਆਵਾਂ ਨਾਲ, they used to love the rivers, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ 1 ਵਜੇ 2 ਵਜੇ 3 ਵਜੇ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਪਾਣੀ 'ਚ, ਇੱਦਾਂ ਠੰਡਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। they love the rivers. we got these little en-suites, ਲਾਓ hot water 2 ਵਜੇ 3 ਵਜੇ ਲਾ ਦੋ hot water, ਹੈ ਨਾ। but why is that person ਇੱਥੇ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ, ਇਹ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲੇ ਤੇ ਕਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਮਰ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਮਰ ਜਾਵਾਂ, ਕੀ ਫਰਕ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਣਾ। why has that? what's the difference? ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ by the way I'm just trying to say, ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ, this is you guys, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਸ ਬੰਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਦੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਂ ਸਿੰਘ ਜਾਂ ਕੌਰ ਲਾਇਆ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਂ ਤੇ, these things here, these how is that then? ਇਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ?
First person we know can take because may not have the book.
Yeah.
They've not lost out. They're just living their life.
Yeah. So that expectation and actual reality thing, there's expectations gone. ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ ਆ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਦਾ ਭਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਮੰਨਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ, that's beautiful ਆ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਅੱਜ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ। But this one's expectations all different, and I think not saying that's because of that. That could be for many reasons, no? So I don't want you to too focus on that to say everyone who's depressed is ungrateful or something like that. I'm just saying how come it's led to these things, it's leading to those things.
Because more choice, and like there's more material things now, whereas before it was just all the Singhs that were, you know, inviting and stuff. They were in the nature as well. So nature was, you know, now we've got all material stuff and there's more choice in food and cars and every little thing, so you get more, it's drawing more of the like depression because of it, because of how society and because there's so much options. You don't just have one option of food or one option of, it's just so many.
You've got loads of options.
Quite overwhelming.
And what's happening inside of these, ਇੱਥੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ 'ਚ? ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੌਂਗ ਲਾਈਫ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਸ ਲੌਂਗ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ? Or are we saying, I hope I live till about 85 and watch as much Netflix as I can or something, you know? What are you living for? What are we living for, no? So all of these, ਜੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਲੌਂਗ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ, ਲੈਣਾ ਕੀ ਆ? That's not to say don't have a long life. I say what ਇੱਛਾ ਕਾਹਲੀ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੋਈ, you say ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਭਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਠੀਕ ਆ। if you're seeing every day, ਜੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੇਤੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਆ? what are you getting from it? ਜੇ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਹੀਟਿੰਗ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਔਨ ਸਵੀਟ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਸ ਔਨ ਸਵੀਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, what you got on sweet for? what's it for? if you got deliveries and you're getting food and all that, ਜੋ ਖਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿਣ ਦਿਨਸ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਤ ਤੂੰ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਗਾਵਣਾ, ਜੀ ਜੰਤ ਸਰਬਤ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਤੇਰਾ ਧਿਆਵਣਾ, ਤੂੰ ਦਾਤਾ ਦਾਤਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਖਾਵਣਾ, if you're not saying that to that ਖਾਣਾ, ਉਹ ਖਾਣਾ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਹੀ ਆਰਡਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਜੇ ਫਿੱਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਆਰਡਰ ਕਰੋ। then you saying you got big income, ਜੇ ਉਸ ਇਨਕਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 10ਵਾਂ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਤੇ ਇਨਕਮ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ? ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਰਕ ਆਹੋ। what you can do with your money? where you taking your money? and then if you got enjoying holidays every year, holiday ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੁਛ ਨੇਚਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਵਰਤਦਾ ਆ। you want to go to these places, you just look around, I don't want to go anywhere anymore. you have a look around and say ਇੱਥੇ ਕੀ ਆ ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲਾ? so you know these things, look, they could die any day. ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਖੁਸ਼ ਸੀਗੇ ਰੱਬ ਆ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। they may never see family ever again. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੇ ਤਰ ਜਾਣਾ। do you know ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ, do you know your family gets saved? your family ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਈ। your family gets saved with you. ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਤਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾਲ। ਜੇ ਆਸਾ ਰੱਖ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ ਗੁਸਾਈ, ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਸਾ ਰੱਖ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਿੱਚ, he saves all your family. ਉਹ ਤੇਰਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕਟੰਬ ਤਾਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਨਾਲ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। Look, they have no heat or hygiene facilities. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਠੰਡੇ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੱਬ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ from cold water, and the food is limited, but they say any food that they get, they say ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ, and they has no income. they don't care, ਹੈ ਨਾ। and they have holidays. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਹ ਲਾਈਫ ਹੀ holiday ਬਣ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਨਾ। you know, if the people around you, if I know that this thing, you know, ਜਾਣਦੇ ਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ। have you got a friend like that? have you got a friend like that who stand next to you, you could say ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, they're going to die for me, you know? That's what these people were like. That's what our Sikhi was. Our Sikhi was started from that. Where Guru says ਮੈਂ ਸਿਰ ਲੈਣ ਆਇਆ, the ਸਿਰ ਆ ਗੱਲ ਸੀਗੀ। Guru says you not got anything else now. ਸਾਰਾ ਲੈ ਲੈਣਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ, ਦੇਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਆ ਤੂੰ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। and the Sikh was ready to do that for the Sikh, So chardi kala ho gaya. Today, have you seen what Sikh does to another Sikh now? We won't go there. Lambi kahaniyan. Lambiyan kahaniyan hai na. We lost the plot. Na? Let's keep it simple. Plot lose ho gaya ya. Now you have to come back into that thing. I want you to look at this finally as a family and relationship thing. Look, this happens a lot. I feel that as I grew up, I was ignored by my parents. This has made me quite bitter and jealous of others who had close parents. That's common. Sare Punjabi is very common. It's because, you know, when our parents came, maybe not yours, some of you quite young, you know? Certainly mine and others, they were just working. That's what they come. They're just saying, Sade nyane have a better future. That was their pavana. But they weren't good dads, you know? Weren't good dads, you know? The mums were good, but the dads weren't good. Dad ne ghar aake sharaba pee leniyan and all that, sugata, they do all that stuff, you know? So they weren't good parents. But the feelings are hurt and rejection, you know? How do you turn that into something that's cushy? My parents raised me and I cannot pay them back for that. Now, all of a sudden now, did I hurt the rejection? Now that stops. A lot of it stops, you know? They were busy in their different ways and that was their love. Sometimes love isn't direct. Someone says to you, I love you, you know? Sometimes what they're doing for you is loving, you know? But you might not see it like that, you know? So I learned self-reliance, improved my Sikhi, got closer to WhyGuru, and it made me a better parent. Now, is Dukh, they were just Sukh aa gaya. From the perception change, you know? So when the perception changes, usually our pain is based on a very poor baseline, a bad reasoning sometimes, you know? It's not necessarily like that. And as you become a more broader Sikh, as you become broader, you start seeing very, very different. You see people differently, you know? That means you've changed. It means there's been a good change in you. It means that you're not rigid. You're not rigid in the way you think, you know? So this is what we're going to do in future weeks. Well, we're going to do it in 10 weeks, but I don't know. I'll do my best, you know? But why is my worldview and how can I change it? How does Guruji tell me to remember WhyGuru? We're going to do that, definitely. Applying the concept of one into my life. Ik, can I pray for happiness? Great question. How I may be making pain worse than what it is. We covered some of that today. How I may be distorting my happiness again. Could I be addicted to this world? You know, have you ever thought about that? Addiction ho gayi hai duniya na. Addicts of dunya. But it's true, you know? Guruji says we have become that. How the words I use, have more meaning than I think. So you know, the words. So we cover it through NLP and things. Huh? Stop doing negative self-talk and caring for, you should start caring for yourself. Importance of Guruji's words, Sat Guruji da Bachan, you know? What do I really love and how do I love WhyGuru? And collecting real wealth in a world of temporary pain and happiness. So Guruji says, our dunya is a Dukh da sagar. It's an ocean of pain, the dunya is. It's ocean which asi tarna hai with the Guru's words, you know? So that was it for today. Oh look, I've rubbed that Adobe stock. Sorry, better hide that. But when we'll finish with Simran, you know? ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ WhyGuru ਦਾ Simran karna, one of the weeks we'll cover that as well when we do Simran. What's Gurmat way of doing Simran? We'll cover that in one of the 3 further sessions. Hai na? So, WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. WhyGuru, 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 WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. Time's